Hey team, welcome back to the show. Today it is Coach Andrea, Natalie, and myself talking through if we could only do one exercise per muscle group. I was listening to the J3U podcast and they did an episode like this and it inspired me. I liked it. I thought it was a fun topic. So here we are. So here's the scenario. We're on a desert island. It's going to have a sick gym, but we can only have one piece of equipment or one movement for each muscle group. So if we're looking at, I would say here, I mean, you can think like you can approach it from the client angle, you can approach it from yourself personally angle. I approach it from like what I would personally do. If we're looking at, what's that?
Selfish.
Well, it's just us on the desert island, so on our own desert island each. So within that, looking at what we would choose here, just kicking it off with glutes. Natalie, I think I know you wanted to start here. You were in a glute training last week, right? Is that still ongoing?
My answer for this was pass. Like I said, we should all get one skip, and this is my skip.
Are you over the glute training phase?
I'm over it.
Once a year, Natalie has 5 days exactly where she's super into glute training, and then it moves. Then we move on past that.
You gave me 6 days this week.
All right, I will start on glutes then. I would say a dumbbell rear foot elevated split squat. If I had to choose one, that would be my go-to. Gets a nice, like, of course, value in both the short and lengthened position, but that is going to allow us to really fully stretch the glute, even more so than if we were doing like a single leg press or a Smith machine rear foot elevated split squat, because we can get more of that like lateral hip shift at the bottom. And just anecdotally, when I'm looking at like, okay, this is a movement that just wrecks my glutes, it is always rear foot elevated split squats. Even if I like have squat shoes on and I'm really trying to bias my quads, my glutes are always just trash after I do a rear foot elevated split squat for whatever that is worth. But I mean, on paper, it's a great glute movement for us as well. So I would say that's probably the one for me.
Can I answer for real though?
Yes, please do.
Okay. I think I would choose an RDL.
Okay. Defend yourself.
Oh. I think because I feel like if we're going to be answering for all muscle groups, we're going to talk about things like quads and stuff. And so I would want some sort of hinge pattern.
Mm.
And now that I'm talking through this out loud, I might even make it like a B stance so that I can purposely get some like unilateral work in there. So I can like hit it from a few different angles.
So, okay. So very synergistic with the rest of our program. I like where your head is at here. Angie, I'm curious to hear what direction you're going here.
I put rear foot elevated split squat or RDL because I couldn't decide between the two for those two reasons that you guys had. Because personally, the split squat just wrecks my glutes. It's such a good glute connection, and not that we're looking to get sore, but like I can always feel my glutes after I'm doing those. And for an RDL, it's one that's just such a good compound movement. You can load it up so much and create a lot of tension and get like a nice big glute stretch at the bottom of it. Lengthen overload. It's just those are like tied for number one. I couldn't pick one.
Soreness isn't an indicator of
I've been chasing soreness this whole time.
maybe that's why I don't have any glutes. But I think this is great because that's why we're a really well-rounded coaching team.
You have either end of the spectrum and in the middle there, so that's perfect. I thought about the hinge as well with like training hamstrings, but I mean going into hamstrings, my answer would be I would do a seated leg curl, specifically the prime seated leg curl setting, cam setting 5. Nice little like mid to lengthen challenge, not too hard on the lengthen, but like really nice. That's just like to me still the best, my very favorite leg curl that I've used. I love a seated leg curl because it is just so easy to stay locked in position. You just get so much tension in your hamstrings. So I mean, if we have that, I would of course still, like in the ideal world, like to get strong at a hinge and have a hinge in play as well. But we cover the hamstrings quite well with our seated leg curl, cover glutes quite well with our split squat, and we get more quad. I'm more concerned with the quads than glutes anyway, so I feel like it aligns pretty well. Andrea, what about you for hamstrings?
I also have seated leg curl. I
Is it
also
the
really like the Prime machine. I haven't used it in a really long time. I like the Atlantis leg curl a lot too. And
I
really,
like that
there's
one a
a
lot also.
pretty old school one at my old gym where you just get such a big stretch at the top of it. It was a really good one too. I can't even remember the
Is it
brand,
the
but
flex one?
no,
Have like
it's
handles. Okay.
no. But anyway, those are all good machines. And I think, as you said, seated leg curl, like you can really stay locked in and you get a nice stretch on your hamstrings at the top. It's pretty, it's pretty simple. Like there's, aside from rocking your hips back and forth, it's a harder one to mess up and you can really push it hard.
Mhm.
So I like that one.
That is one though that is often messed up with the core brace, and you see someone's hips just like flying forward on each rep, where people kind of forget to really use the handle to push themselves back into the seat. Or there's like the handles like sticking up right there, but oftentimes people are like putting their hands behind their head or like trying to hold down like they would a leg extension. So that is important. And just cueing like pull your rib cage down, maintain a slight core brace helps so much with just keeping pelvis positioning correct.
Yeah,
Natalie,
aside from pushing against the leg pad, just getting yourself in the right position because there are a lot of adjustments that you can make on the machine. So making sure that your knee is aligned with the pivot point is a huge thing that I see messed up on those, aside from just pushing and
I
bracing.
also really like to think about pushing my quads up into the leg pad when I do it.
Yeah.
Same with like a seated line leg curl, like pushing your quads down into the thigh pad. Natalie, I know you're a big fan of meaty hams. What's your answer here?
Seated leg curl.
Seated leg curl. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else to
So
add before we move on?
yes, I have yet to find one I really like. I did like I haven't tried the Prime actually, but
Really?
I have tried the Atlantis. I feel like one of the locations of my gym had the Atlantis leg curl, and maybe I'm imagining it, but I feel like it's not there anymore. But I did like it. But in theory, I mean, even if you have a crappy one, I'd still be a fan.
Even, yeah, there's a lot that are decent. For sure, I think the Prime is the best, so I can't believe you haven't tried that yet. Okay. Moving
I've
on,
never
the
had it.
crazy. You should do it at Fit Lab next time you're there. Moving on to quads. I think that I was kind of torn between a hack squat and a pendulum, but if we're going for me personally, I would rock with a pendulum. Um, just the way it pushes you down and forward into that arc just so nicely. I mean, it's just basically inevitable. You'll get a nice, like, you just will get it. Like, it's such a good quad stretch. And it does like ever so slightly deload the bottom. So I feel like it's really, really easy to own that stretch position a bit more versus a hack squat and like get a really solid drive out of it. If I had to choose, I like the Atlantis pendulum squat if I were, if we're going like into the brand side of things as well. So probably just like that newer Atlantis pendulum with the adjustable foot plate. Although I like how the Predator one, you can like move it backwards and forwards as well. But yeah, my answer for sure for quads would be pendulum if I'm only choosing one. Natalie, what you got?
Kind of torn between hack and pendulum. I think personally, I'd probably have to say pendulum.
You're on the
It's
pendulum a
it's
lot.
I don't I was thinking about that yesterday because I just trained quads yesterday, and I was thinking about the fact that like I think for like 5 years it's been in my program. I like literally have not had a break. Usually like over time things kind of phase out, phase back in, and I that has never phased out. And I like it because like you said, it does deload the bottom a little bit, but it also feels like it's less effort from like a loading perspective.
The
It's
stimulus to fatigue ratio, I would say the stimulus to fatigue ratio versus a hack squat is probably better.
yeah, but I mean even just like setting yourself up like and I think it's like I'm just gonna load like one or two plates like on that
Yeah.
Atlantis versus like the Atlantis hack squat is such a beast. Like it's just such a heavy sled, and I don't know. It's like I feel a lot more dread for the hack squat than I do pendulum. Like pendulum, I'm gonna end myself, but I get excited about it. Is my
I feel the same way.
answer.
Okay. Andrea, what about you?
I'm going hack squat. I
Really?
like the fact that you have more of that tension in the stretch. It feels really good to me. And a pendulum, I don't know, like you do deload at the bottom and then you like just hit a wall three
The
inches
sticking
up
point
out
is
of it.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah. And it always feels like with hack, I personally feel like I'm accumulating more tension in my quads, whereas with the pendulum, I just like die on it midway through a rep and it doesn't feel the same to me. So I like the hack squat a lot better.
That's, I feel like the opposite for me. I feel like the pendulum is so intuitive, whereas the hack, it takes a ton of intention.
Hmm.
Um, just like the pendulum feels so much more natural for me. Both are great, but
I do
interesting.
think for people who have a harder time getting into that really deep knee flexion position, the pendulum is better because of the arc. It just helps you get deeper into it.
For
Whereas
sure.
a lot of people have to have their feet a little bit further up, or they just don't have a great hack squat that gets you into that position. And so they end up in more of like a heels like 6 inches in front of their hips, which isn't great for quads on
Yeah.
a hack.
There are a lot of shitty hack squats as well that just aren't, at least if you're a shorter person, it's very hard to make work.
Hmm.
Cool. Anything else on quads before we continue? All right, calves gonna be my skip. Honestly, any standing calf raise. Cybex has one. There's like a more rounded foot plate rather than like a really flat foot plate. I feel like my feet are always slipping off the ones that have like a flat foot plate. Cybex
We
has
have
one
the
that's like a it's like a sandpaper like consistency on there rather than just like the rubber foot plate, and you can just like get such better traction. But yeah, past that, I think like it's pretty hard to mess up a standing calf raise. But gonna train both the gastroc and soleus better versus seated. I don't even remember which muscle, which of the two, the gastroc or the soleus, is like less trained because it's working harder to stabilize the knee. One of the two isn't. Anyways, calves. Natalie, Andrea, what's your take here?
machine standing.
Okay,
Yeah, I have the same.
all in agreement there. And adductors, I would say the same. I'm not partial to any, except for they're all so light. Like it's so easy to max out an adductor machine, which is odd. I mean, if you're training adductors, I do love some adductor training. Honestly, some jacked adductors look cool, but you will get a ton of adductor in like most of our squat patterns, especially if we're going with like a wider stance. But yeah, any adductor machine, honestly, I feel like they're also more or less the same. I've never been on one that's like, wow, this is so much better. We do have the new tech one at Fit Lab. It goes pretty heavy actually, where I don't know if that one's quite as easy to max out, but anything
We
else to
just
add there from you two?
we just got the new tech actually.
It's
And we
big.
had yeah, it's like needlessly big.
Hmm.
It's really smooth though, and I actually like it. I don't. There have been a surprising amount of new tech things I actually haven't loved, but I do like that one. And we had Panada before that, so it's a welcome replacement. I didn't love the Panada, but
Yeah.
my adductors also get sore, like even just like looking at a squat pattern. It's like the one muscle group every single week that's sore. Yet I feel like I
Same.
have none. It's like it doesn't make any sense. But
Hmm.
I would welcome some more adductors.
Got like phantom adductor syndrome.
Yeah.
Interesting. Andrea, anything else to add there?
Not really. I also said adductor machine. I feel like you could also maybe make a case for like a wide stance sumo deadlift movement, like a wide RDL, just because again, like you can load it pretty heavy, and that's going to be a pretty targeted adductor movement. Not that I ever do those or program them, but I feel like I could make a case for it. I don't have
Yeah.
anybody with an adductor focus.
I do program like the adductor machine a decent amount for a lot of people, both women and men. Like it's a lot more of the missing physique element than people realize. It does add a lot more density to your
Yeah.
legs. Like, do you guys both have adductors programmed? Do either of you have adductors
Yes.
Mhm.
programmed? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I
And it's
think
like supposed
people,
to focus for me right now.
I think people underestimate the importance of that because it is such a big part of your overall leg mass.
Yep.
Cool. Anything else on lower body before we dig into upper body?
Did we get everything?
I think so.
Yes, we did.
Unless you want to talk like glute med. I don't really want to.
Not really.
Okay, let's go pecs. Much better topic. Um, as of late, I really love the prime. As of late, I really love the prime flat press. I'd never really used this before until like the last month, and it is actually really, really nice. I always use it inclined over the flat press. Fits me very nicely. I would say in general, if I'm just looking at like for almost everyone and I had to choose one pec movement, I would probably go a dumbbell low incline press. We're gonna hit like all divisions of the pec pretty well. What, Andrea?
That's exactly what I had.
Is everybody gonna have dumbbell low incline press? Okay, fair
I was
enough.
gonna say all flat press, but
Really? I find like from a positioning perspective, people can find that a little bit easier. Like your scapular positioning, people can find that a little bit easier. Like that chest up position, just maintain that a bit easier with a low incline versus the flat can be a bit more difficult. So you kind of just fall into that. I also personally just really like a dumbbell low incline. It's always been one of my favorites. But flat pressing has really grown on me as of late as well. Anything else y'all would add there? Specific reason you like a flat press over an incline, a low incline, Natalie? That like 10 degrees
and
of incline.
yeah, honestly, a little bit just entertainment factor. I think it's fun, and a lot of people do as well. And a lot of people can also put up. I mean, for in terms of pressing, that's where they're gonna put up some of the most weight, and so I think there's an enjoyment factor there.
Yeah. From a straight hypertrophy perspective, I would probably again like a flat press machine, like the Prime one. But like from a like long term like shoulder function, things of that nature, I would still like keeping like something that forces us to get a bit better. So I have the stability component, which is where like the dumbbells would come in. All right,
I was I
lat.
was
Go
using
ahead.
the Atlantis. I was using the Atlantis flat press for a little while.
The plate loaded one.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, like the upright one.
No, 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 flat.
No, but it's like you're sitting upright, pressing horizontally. No, okay,
No.
line. Huh. I don't think I've used that one.
Oh yeah, I liked it. I don't know why I stopped.
Hmm.
It's kind of-
Okay. I've used the incline one similarly. We have one at FitLab that's an Atlantis flat press that's similar to like that flex one we were using at the like pink gym we were at. Like basically the same thing but with a foot plate. Like a so you can like a lift off plate type thing. Anyways, lats. Natalie, I'll let you start here. What's your choice? One movement.
Just gonna go with a pull down with some sort of support. So something to like have some sort of counterforce, so like a chest piece or like the Nautilus has like the handle kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like something where I can have a counterforce to a pull down.
Okay. You specifically get one piece of equipment here. What's your choice there?
In theory, I would say the Nautilus pull down, but that depends on the day for my shoulder. So I so I guess I would have to say prime just because that's probably like I'd probably injure myself on the Nautilus and then it would be like a useless piece of equipment for me for a little while. So I guess the
You do
smarter
better on
choice.
that. You do better on the prime pull down than the Nautilus.
Yeah, it's just a little too overhead for me. Like it
Hmm.
just is a
Okay.
little more demanding of shoulder flexion.
Okay. That makes sense. What about you, Andrea?
I like a chest supported pull down on in like the iliac, like 45-degree angle. So like the prime chest supported pull down. I specifically like the one that you guys have, Natalie. It's like I don't know which one is newer and which one is older, but there's two versions of that chest supported pull down, and the one that you guys have I like better. I also used a new tech one last weekend and really liked that. Pretty much any new tech stuff I've used has been really smooth and I have liked it a lot.
Thing new tech that actually, speaking of lats, I did just use I switched over to the new tech cable row, which is really smooth and nice.
Hmm.
Since that they took our Nautilus compound row.
I don't even
Um,
want to talk about this. I don't want to get
I
angry.
know. But then I was on
All
the
right.
watts for a while. Anyway, it's turning into like an equipment
Yeah,
talk.
let's keep this focused. Uh, I would say as well, probably not also prime pull down. That prime pull down has grown on me lately. But again, if we're just looking at it in general, it would be the same. Just like like we have an incline bench set up, we are facing towards the seat of the bench. Just cable pull down, relatively upright, single arm row. It's going to be my choice if we don't have like a prime or a Nautilus pull down. But similarly hadn't spent a lot of time on that prime pull down until recently, and I do think that I might like that better than the Nautilus, which I can't believe I'm saying. All right, upper back. Andrea, what's your number one choice for upper back?
I don't feel like I've used a ton of different machines for this, but there's the two different hammer strength high to low rows. One has more of like the underhand handles, one has the overhand handles, but they're still on a slant. I actually really
Mm.
like that. You're diverging just a little bit and it
Like the chest
pulls from
supported?
chest supported, and it's a bit high to low because sometimes with the completely horizontal movements, it's easy to elevate your shoulders and get a little more trapped than what you want or what I would want. And so that slightly downward angle I really like.
Okay. Okay. Honestly, I have like never spent any time on hammer strength machines hardly, which I feel like is like a whole phase of your training and career that just skipped. But interesting. Um, Natalie, what about you for upper back?
Um, since we're trying to keep it generic, I'm gonna say an upper back, sorry, chest supported row.
Okay, get more specific than that. What would you personally?
Uh, Actually, what I really love, we have an Avenger.
I've never used that. I've heard great
It's
things
a
though.
Yeah, plate loaded row. And the handles are fixed, so they don't swivel.
That's the
Um,
one you typically post a video of.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, that one looks
really like
sick.
it's really nice. I've been really annoyed at the Prime lately. So I'm gonna switch that out and move it over to the King, I believe.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but yeah, I
So
mean I like a chest supporter row, so lots of stability. It's pretty brainless, honestly.
is that like a more low to high arc?
A little bit. Like I'm
Yeah.
definitely getting a little bit of trap involvement there,
Yeah.
which I like.
Yeah. And again, it depends on your goal. Like for Andrea, it makes sense that like for the physique you're chasing in your division, you wouldn't. That's same for like my rows, like to trying to get that kind of like low to high and try to get more upper trap involvement is a big part of it as well.
It's not like one of those actual low to high rows though.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah.
it. I guess you could say it like slightly biases. Like there's a little bit of elevation there, which you are going to
hmm
get with traction anyways. But it's not like the what's the is it the hammer strength that is like a low to high? Yeah, it's not like
Yeah.
that.
The like DY row. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I would say in general, honestly, we're looking at like pieces of equipment. Most gyms have, I would probably just go a T-bar row. I always like a T-bar row. I think the smaller you are, the less likely it is they'll fit you well. Is that correct,
Yes.
Natalie?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really
Okay.
hard to find a good one for a little person.
Okay. But if you aren't a miniature person, I think T-bar rows rule for upper back. And again, you can set them up so your elbow path is kind of like that low to high. I would say if we're going like very specific, the plate loaded prime chest support row, like the one I have in my garage, is probably my favorite upper back row. You just set that seat a little bit higher than you would if you're trying to make a lat bias. And again, get like a nice low to high. And also the seat a bit more forward. So again, like it forces you to follow kind of like that low to high path. And I really like the way that like the handles do swivel and just give you a little bit more freedom there. Yeah, probably be one more specific choice. Front delts. Natalie, what's your choice there?
Probably just gonna say like an anterior delt press. I mean, I don't
It's a dumbbell shoulder
program.
press.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for a lot of reasons, you get like tick the function box. It's compound lift.
It's my choice as well. I've
Too.
honestly never come across a machine press that I like as much as just like a dumbbell shoulder press.
I think in theory, like a machine press is great, but it's like they're who are they made for? You know, they're
That's a good point though. It's very hard to, especially when we're looking at people's ability to get overhead. Like making one machine that fits a lot of people well in an overhead press pattern is very hard.
right. I know, like we have the new tech, and it
Yeah.
does have like a billion different ways to customize it. Like a billion, you know, more than like anything I've ever seen. And I tried it for a few weeks, and I like even though it has that many different ways that you can customize it, I couldn't it couldn't work. It didn't work.
Yeah. Dumbbell shoulder press is also one of those that is just really fun to get really strong on. I think kind of like what you were saying with like a dumbbell flat press. Like for me, like I've always just loved like once you can get past like hundreds on dumbbell shoulder press, it's just like a cool. I don't know. I feel like that is one of the ones where progressing in strength is the most exciting for me for some reason. All
It's a,
right,
it's a grind though.
it is. Uh, Side delts. Andrea, what's your number one choice side delts?
I would go a knee height single arm cable lateral raise. I feel like you
Okay.
can just match it up really nicely with the angle that you want your arm in and the scapular plane. It's not so overloaded in the lengthened position like a wrist height would be that it is hard to do even at the lightest weight. And it just feels like a little bit more even personally
Yeah.
doing it more knee height. I like that resistance curve a lot more.
People
If
almost
you can find a
like,
really sorry, if you can find a really good seated lateral raise, those are nice, but they're hard to come by a good one.
for sure, for sure. I mean, yeah, I was gonna say as well, like a knee height, except for dual cable. I still just like a dual cable better than a single arm. I think just it's a little more stable and just more efficient, but I'm not opposed to either. People almost though with like that, like if you set the cable at wrist height, a lot of times there's almost like someone like misgrooves the lift, if that makes sense. Like it's like from the start, they're just again, I think it's like a lot more rotator cuff initially, right?
Mhm.
Supposedly through that first like 15 degrees of abduction. Um, Whereas I find people can just nail like a knee height where it's not quite so hard and lengthen a little bit quicker. So yeah, mine would be the same. Do you have like a seated lateral raise machine you do really like?
I sometimes I go back and forth on the Atlantis one where the you're seated with a chest support and the handles are out in front of you. I can sometimes
Hmm.
like that one and sometimes feel like I can't find the right angle with it. I did use last weekend. I think it was also new tech. That actually like I wasn't stuck at the top two plates. I was able to like use some appreciable weight on it, which is nice because then you can do multiple different rep ranges and find the right weight for you. And also the angle of that one was nice. But again, like that gym had literally every single thing. Most gyms aren't going to have anything near like that, and cables do just as well.
Again, from like fitting everyone well, that's cables we can adjust to anyone, so it's very versatile. Natalie, I'm guessing your answer's single arm knee height cable lateral raise.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay,
Actually,
cuffs.
no,
No
I
cuffs.
finally like no. I did switch in because I have been doing that knee height cable lateral raise for like years now, like twice a week, and I just started using the new tech actually on my Saturday session,
That
and
one you
it's
sent
the
me.
yeah, that photo I sent you. So it's like the standing where there's
Hmm.
um and it's I feel like I still haven't quite committed to like whether or not I like. I think I like it. Again, it has like a million different customizations per new tech. So that hand support can go like up and down. And yeah, I think I like it. Like I get a pretty good pump out of it. We'll see.
Oh yeah. Okay. Rear delts. Andrea, number one choice.
I like a rear delt row, especially if you can get into a good position on like a T-bar.
Really?
That's
Okay.
yeah, that's the only rear delt movement that I do personally. And I maybe that's why I choose it because I've learned to really like it. I feel like on a rear delt row, and I have the Arsenal T-bar row, which I actually really like
Mm,
because you can change the foot plate height and you can change the width of the handles and they rotate. So you can
hmm
get your hands at a 45-degree angle and sit up tall and then really like drive outward because the handles articulate.
Okay, I can see that.
So with a standard T-bar, it might be harder because the handles are fixed and you can't have that more outward pull because you really want that with a rear delt row, and you can do that with just a chest supported dumbbell rear delt row.
Okay. I've just never spent a whole lot of time on a rear delt row. I did a bit of it when I was working with Alex Bush years ago, but since then I just have never done a whole lot of it, so I just really can't speak to it one way or the other. Interesting. Okay. What about you, Natalie?
I like a single arm cable rear delt,
Okay.
but like where you're kind of adjusting your torso a little bit to get a little bit of more of that like length and stretch.
So a fly.
So you, okay, so you have like a right angle between your arm and the cable in the stretch position.
And you
Okay,
can like
cool.
really emphasize that like protraction. I
Yeah.
like that.
I like that too. I liked when we did that in one. That
Mm.
was nice.
Mm. Yeah, I like all the fly variations we did there. Um, I would say if I had to choose one, honestly, I would still probably just choose a reverse pec deck. I again like quite similar to single arm cable lateral raises. I enjoy as well. But I do really just like the bilateral setup. I feel like the additional stability and like just how easy it is to just load up and push. I still just sometimes feel like I get more out of it. And I also just like the efficiency of it as much as anything else. So, which I do like on the prime pec deck
That was
doing a
kind of
rear.
nice.
Yeah, that's probably the favorite
I do
because
like
that
that. Yeah.
does. Yeah. I like the way you can set it up, like set the seat up quite high and you can still get like kind of like lean forward, have a really nice low to like high to low arc. It's a nice setup. All right. Biceps. Natalie, what's your take?
Length and cable curl, face
Hmm.
away
Okay.
curl, whatever you
Okay.
want to call it.
Okay.
I like it. I like the shoulder extension position. I like cables in general. Like the ability to line them up and like get them in the groove and feeling really good. Um, and they personally feel better for me than an incline dumbbell curl, personally.
Same. Okay. You are a big cable fanatic, honestly.
Yeah, I that would probably be my like desert island piece of equipment. It's like just give me like a functional trainer. Could do a lot with
Okay.
it.
Okay. Andrea, what about you for biceps?
I would also say incline cable curl. I also really like though if you can rig up an elbow support with it behind your body. I like that a lot because it just gives you something to drive into and maintain that um, elbow behind your body position.
Okay. Okay. I have not ever. How do you set it up? Like, what do you put behind you to like keep that?
So with that, I've only used dumbbells. So I'll put like a foam roller behind my back, or you can even just like lean back against a preacher curl machine. Um, but foam roller is what because I've done that mostly at home with
Oh, okay. So
dumbbells.
you're talking like a dumbbell curl.
Yeah, with the elbow support, yeah. I'm sure you could figure out how to do it with the cable, but I haven't done
Hmm.
it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, I have like the dumbbell curl in my program where I will just like lean back just slightly against. We have like the standing preacher curl bench where it's like upright and that works out really well. Okay. I'm gonna go with personally, I would do a single arm machine preacher curl if I had to choose one. Specifically, the Gym Lecca one would be my favorite, just because the resistance profile is like not like very much just like matches your strength curve, where you can just like grind out reps, and it's just very difficult, like the perfect amount of challenge the entire time. I really though, again, from just like you can just load it up, don't have to think about it, you can just push. I love the preacher curl. I also really my second choice would probably be the face away cable curl, but just like the positioning and just purely like progressing without like your positioning or stability being a limiting factor, which is also part of the benefit of the movement, but it's a little bit harder from that aspect. Triceps. Andrea, what you got?
I am going to say purely out of theory, a Smith Machine JM press because I don't do these and I don't do triceps in general. And I don't
Uh,
program this one a lot because it's just not a big focus for like the women that I'm coaching. But Smith Machine JM press just because of the angle that you can get, and it's also just like more of a not a compound movement, but almost more of a compound movement. Like you can load it up heavier and getting that equal tension, but in the like massive stretch in the bottom is I like it. So
that was my choice as well, so I would fully
was
agree.
it really?
Yeah, yeah, it was.
I thought that
No,
one was going to be niche.
no, not at all. I would say from like tricep movements, that is, again, it is a lot more compounded, but it just so good. Get a little bit more like lengthened challenge.
Yeah.
Uh, and again, it's like very stable. Even though like the same with like no, that would for sure be my choice as well. Natalie, what's your take there?
So program a lot of single arm overhead cable tricep extensions for people
Hmm.
to help with their shoulders. So I'm very much looking at I can't like not look at triceps not through that lens. So like because kind of like Andrea said, like triceps aren't a huge focus for a lot of people that we coach. I actually do have a couple that are like really into it, which is awesome. Um, but a lot of people are dealing with some sort of like shoulder dysfunction, so I'm going to program that. Selfishly, like enjoyment wise, I love a cross cable tricep extension. I just those are so fun for me, and like I haven't done one in like over a year at this point. I just really like them
Yeah.
because
All right, let me hit you
cables.
with this scenario. Your family's kidnapped. You have 10 days. Okay, let's say 10 weeks. You just get sick triceps, or you're never going to see them again. What's your tricep movement you're choosing? Does this change the answer? Probably a Smith machine jam press would be my choice.
That wouldn't be fun if we all agreed on everything. I don't know. That is a good question. I think I might. I don't know. In that case, like I might just say
You
something
need to
super
be
easy.
ready for this scenario.
I know. It's I might say something super simple like a like just a push down just because like my ability to get that right and push would be good. But then
Fair
like
enough.
I would want to say something like dips, which wouldn't even really I feel like
You're just
my
trying so hard not to say JM press. I
I am. And
know.
I also would like want to say dips because I know that I'd be getting so many other things out of that that I would like look more jacked than just with triceps. That would that would be my answer. I'd like be able to at least like build everything in my upper body pretty much doing a
All the
dip.
Albanian kidnappers care about is triceps, is the thing.
Gun to your head. I need to know.
Okay. All right. Anything else to add? Any other muscle groups we didn't cover y'all want to cover here?
Traps.
Traps? I would do a Kelso shrug. Also, probably on that prime seat plate loaded row, or our T-bar row is pretty nice as well.
I think a healthy dose of anxiety is good enough for me.
That's
That is
great.
well
Yeah.
chosen.
Do
That's
you
how
guys
I
actually
feel
have anything? Is there
Doing
anything you
lateral
guys would like,
raises really wrong.
in all seriousness, trap
laterally,
movements,
but not on purpose.
Yeah.
trap movements from either
I
of
would
you?
do, I don't know if this is a Kelso shrug, but like slightly leaned forward. shrug.
Okay. Like with the dumbbell.
Mhm.
Yeah, more or less. Kelso shrug is just like, I mean, again, you can do it on a T-bar, but basically you are just doing like the scapular retraction portion of the row. You're not following through with your elbows. So you can do it on basically like any rowing machine. You could do it lying on an incline bench with dumbbells. Yeah, so I think more or less the same thing. Cool. Natalie, what was your answer there? Other than anxiety?
Yeah, well, let's go with Kelso shrug.
Cool.
I
Okay.
honestly can't say anyone has come to me wanting to build their traps.
Yeah, I have one client who I have programmed traps for currently, so not a huge
I
demand.
I did just talk to a client about some like reverse dips,
Hmm.
uh, like some lower trap stuff. I know we're actually talking a little bit more about like upper traps, but
Okay. Okay.
good to have
Do
some
you,
lower traps. Say that.
yeah, for sure. For sure. I have in the past actually programmed if you have someone who's like, oh, my traps are always tight and always hurting. I have had instances where it's like traps are actually just weak and that's the issue. They're tight because they're weak. So I have programmed for short term, like some type of shrug pattern for those individuals. So I don't want to say I like never program it. And it is pretty cool how quickly you can like address that. Not that that's always the cause of like your neck pain or whatever, but a lot of times with tight traps, they're just weak. Um, but yeah, that is our muscle groups. If we were stuck on an island and could only choose one movement per our exercises, if we could only choose one per body part. Hopefully, you'll enjoy the show. You would like to apply for coaching, hit the link in the show notes, and we'll catch you guys next time.